When was it when you first started to speak to Elon Musk?
Last year.
Last year. And did you reach out to him on Twitter?
Yeah, I just so what actually happened was I started noticing him replying to some of my tweets. So,
Okay.
You know, I have many viral tweets every week.
Just so the listeners know, how many followers have you got on Twitter?
Right now, 1.15 million.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So he just started responding to some of my tweets, and I would, respond to some of his. Like he's a funny guy, right?
Yeah.
He posts memes and so on. So we just on public Twitter would occasionally reply to each other's stuff. And then in February, actually, he started interacting quite a bit more. And one of my friends WhatsApped me and was like, "Dude, how long has Elon been following you?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Wait, he's following?" So I just went on his thing because he only follows about 300 people, and he just had the follows you thing, and I was like, "Oh wow!"
Yeah.
And then actually, funnily enough, I looked at that, and then I had a DM, and he DM'd me, because I'd actually written a thing so I've been on Twitter since 2009, and I wrote a thread about things that they could do to improve it, and so he'd read that and responded to it, and he'd also written something about this is a big one, actually.
Yeah, well, I saw you the other day. You said something, said, "Why don't we turn this into a revenue sharing platform?" And he replied straight away, "So let's do it."
Yeah, and it's been done now.
So you're the instigator of
many
people out there earning money.
I got 12 grand.
Did you?
Last week from Twitter.
Did you?
Yeah, revenue
For
sharing.
How long?
February to June.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So he'd posted something about Twitter advertising in October, and I said, "Hey, every other social media platform." Not in these exact words, but every other social media platform does revenue sharing with creators. So YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, right? Like they're advertising driven platforms. So it's fair to give the people who create the content that brings people to the platform a share of it. I said, Twitter should do the same thing. And he said, yeah, absolutely. I agree. And then, out of the blue, I got a message this is like 5 days ago. Yeah, I got a message from Twitter saying, it was like $12,400 or something to be deposited into my account from revenue.
Thank you very much.
I was like, I'll take that. Thank you. So yeah, we just started DMing back and forth. We've got quite a long thread on there, and I just literally told him. I said, hey, I've got a podcast called Real Talk with Zuby. When I'm next in the US, I know you're a busy guy, but happy to come to you. Whatever, be flexible. I'd love to have you on it. And he just said, sure. I was like, dude, cool.
The quality.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
So when I was last in the States, I went to the US in May. I had some events in Miami. I spoke at the Bitcoin conference. And when I was there, I was continuing to communicate with him. And I was like, hey, are you in San Francisco? Are you in Austin? Whatever. Like, I'd love to get a date put down. And, he's so busy. So it was
still all over Twitter, or is this via email or WhatsApp? Have you got his mobile number?
This is all Twitter DMs.
Do you got his mobile number?
No, but I can reach him. So we're just DMing back and forth, and and then eventually we managed to pick a date. So I actually went out to California. I did a podcast there, and then I was gonna go to San Francisco, but I found out he said he wouldn't. He was overseas and was gonna come back later than planned. So they asked if they could push it out a week. So I went back to Miami. And then I went back out to San Francisco the following week, went to Twitter headquarters and sat down. We knocked out that interview. It's episode 263.
How long was the interview?
It's
and did you freestyle it?
Yeah.
Good conversation.
Great conversation. It was late as well. It was most people won't know this, but the interview was we didn't start until 9 p.m. So was
it set for 9 p.m. or was it like
no.
I'm busy, can we do it later?
Yeah, it got pushed back.
Okay.
It got pushed back. So I think we were supposed to start at 7.
Yeah.
But it got pushed back. So, but dude, it was a massive honor.
Yeah,
it was a massive honor. And again, to have one of these moments where I'm like, man, 5 years ago I was selling my CDs.
Yeah.
Now I'm sitting down here with Elon, and he was just as happy to meet me as I was to meet him.
Brilliant. So he wasn't like, oh, this is a chore. Come on, hurry up. This was like a nice
convo. Not at all. Because he'd been following me. We've been chatting, right? And he was just like, man, it's great. It's good to meet you in person. We've been chatting online.
So how would you describe Elon Musk to someone
just who'd never heard of him before?
Yeah.
Oh wow. He is a serial entrepreneur and mogul. He's the CEO of many large companies, Tesla, SpaceX, Twitter, and a couple smaller ones, Neuralink, the Boring Company. formerly involved in PayPal. He is putting rockets into space. He's like the real world Iron Man type of guy.
Yeah.
He's a father to many, many children. He's one of the smartest people in the world, and one of the most inventive and creative and out of the box thinking. One thing I loved about actually speaking with him and spending a couple hours with him was, there's some people who, when you talk to them, you realize, what's the best way to put it? There are some people I speak to, and because I myself, I'm like hyper ambitious, and I myself think way bigger than most people.
Yeah.
But when I meet someone who thinks like way bigger than me, that doesn't happen very often. And I'm like, he's there talking about, humanity being a multi-planetary species. Like I'm cool with Earth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm
crazy, right?
like I'm okay with Earth. You know what I mean? I'm not personally all that interested in going to Mars or whatever.
Yeah.
But when you're talking to someone who's, literally sending rockets out there with the goal of colonizing Mars and all this, you realize, man, there's levels to this. Right?
What blew you away in that conversation with him? Did he mention anything in that conversation, a topic you're like, my God, that has just sent me to another level?
Let's see. What was it
taking humans to other planets? Was it SpaceX? Was it putting chips in someone's brain?
Well, that's definitely the thing. That's one thing that I absolutely wanted to ask him about, because I love a lot of what Elon has done and is doing. I am genuinely concerned about Neuralink.
Yeah.
I do think that is I think the first couple iterations of it will be mostly positive, right? If the goal is to help blind people to see, help paralyzed people to walk and so on, it's kind of hard to be against that.
Who are they going to test it on? That's the bit for me. Who are they going to test it on? Who's going to be the first one? I'll do it. Put your hand up. Go on, off you go. Whack it in. Whack the chip in and see what happens.
Maybe that's how Elon gets so much done.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll test it on myself. There we go.
I don't know. It would explain a lot of things.
It would do, wouldn't it?
It would explain a lot of things. Yeah. My concern is, the sort of transhuman element of it. So even if we look at smartphones, because actually he brought up the example of like us being semi-cyborgs already because of how attached we are to our smartphones. And I think that's a concern even with smartphones themselves, right? I think it's a concern living in a world where you cannot function without one, right? Where it goes from being something that's purely optional to being almost mandatory, right? There's situations and times where it's like, oh, I can't park my car unless I have a smartphone, or I can't do this or that. So, you're kind of forcing people to have it. And so my concern with something like Neuralink is that it goes to a stage where, okay, this is no longer just for to get people who have disability up to normal ability. This is now people who are already, you're already fully able-bodied, but you want to go to a whole nother level. Yeah. And then for people to even be able to compete, right? And to almost like function and integrate into society, everyone now needs the chip in the way that, it went from, okay, few people had smartphones you didn't need one, and kind of now you need one. It could be that, okay, this thing all starts out fine, and then a couple decades down the line, if you don't have this chip in your brain, you're just falling behind. Yeah. And that is I have a lot of concerns about that on a lot of different levels. I also, I don't know, man. I think I love technology for the most part, but I think it's very important that technology serves us rather than human beings exist to serve the technology.
Do you think technology is taking over humans at the moment?
I do think so. I think it's concerning, right? I think that most people's smartphones control them more than they control their smartphones. I think if we're being totally honest, to be brutally honest, almost every single adult is somewhat addicted to their smartphone.
Are you addicted?
To some degree, yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, to some degree.
And
I'm conscious of it.
I'm conscious of it, same. But I'm not an addictive personality. But I believe now I'm realizing that I'm constantly looking. You look at it, at the end of the day, you've picked your phone up 140 times. What are you looking at?
Yeah.
And I'm a creator. I'm not sort of person who's just flicking through. But there's so many different apps and things going on that you need to keep on top of for your business and life and.
Yeah, and you could have just checked everything. Yeah, and then 30 seconds later, what do you have the urge to do? Check it again. It's like
and all my notifications are off. Yeah. Everything's off. That thing can stay there. And do you know what's lovely as well? If you turn that off at night before you go to bed, and you don't turn it on till after 9 a.m., that feels like a win.
It does.
How easy is it to wake up, boom, flick on your phone, messages, WhatsApps, mates, business, social media.
It's 24/7. It never sleeps.
Yeah,
and you also have literal, if you think about design as well, all the most addictive apps, they have what's called infinite scroll, which means you can, with traditional web pages, you scroll up and down and there's a limit, right? If you're on Twitter, if you're on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, it's infinite scroll, right? You can just keep TikTok infinite scroll. You just keep on going. There's no end, right? There's always more content. There's always that next person's take, that next video, that next photo, whatever it is. So it's designed to be addictive. And most people actually have the notifications on and this and this. So, even for someone like people like ourselves who are more disciplined than average and perhaps even more cognizant of these type of issues than average, it's still difficult.
Yeah.
It's still difficult, let alone, with children.